Welcome, Hawks fans. This is Talking Hawks. I'm Matt. This is Mitch, and we are here all about connecting Hawks fans from around the world. We've got the game that was to look at with Freo, and we will have the majority of the time focus on the Melbourne preview. So let us know where you're tuning in from tonight. We love it when the fans are from all around the world. But Mitch, it's been a while, mate. We've got you in off the. You've been playing in the Razzies, I think.
Yeah. Bit of two's work, mate. Just some behind the scenes stuff. Good to be here tonight, Matty. And to everyone watching, obviously not the result we wanted. It's getting a common theme, isn't it, this year? Like saying something along those lines of not the result we wanted, but look forward to next week. But certainly not a performance that we wanted from the boys. I actually was saying all week last week that I thought it was a really winnable game, and the odds weren't too bad if you do have a little bit of a dabble, and comprehensively beaten. So we will discuss that and look forward to what doesn't get any easier at all in one of the premiership favourites in Melbourne.
Yeah, well, clearly Mitch is in Melbourne here, Con. So it is
good pick up. A bit under the weather at the moment, mate. So rugging up.
Ross is suggesting you have a Bundy, or maybe he's tuning in from Bundy. I'm not sure, Mitch. To warm up. So welcome to all of our regulars. It's great to have you. Yeah, it is that recurring theme to a degree. It's just trying to look at some of those positives where we can find them. But look, we've got to have that honest chat, and it is a good time midweek where we've heard the 6 Points podcast. For those of you that tune in, make sure you've subscribed. There's quite a number on the various podcast platforms that are just mopping that up, just subscribing. And I think we're about to reach almost 20,000 listens in around 7 months. It's pretty phenomenal. So you told us that's what you wanted, and it's true. Thank you. Shout out, Brett. I hope you are tuning into the boys' handiwork on the podcast. Nice and easy when you're having your commutes or workout or wherever you may be in the garden. But look, it's rough. It's rough at the moment. At times, we're seeing the highs and lows. One of the best things I think that's coming out, Mitch, is Hawthorn's giving us some good access, both themselves. But Timmy, the great man, he's got Ned Reeves tomorrow. If you haven't heard Tim's podcast interviews with the players, Ned Reeves, who the big fella, he's turned it around in the last month. What have been your thoughts, Mitch, on the big Reaver, on the Noodle?
Yeah, we obviously know he didn't perform to what his standards would be in sort of the first half of the year, but I do think he's played pretty well. Probably not so much last week, but yeah, his last month or so outside of the game against Freo has been relatively decent. As has Lloyd Meek. They've both been sort of in and out of the side, particularly Meek, but the ruck battle doesn't get any easier this week, mate. With Gawn and Grundy, they're obviously two of the best ruckmen in the comp. So. Big challenge for both those boys.
Yeah, it is. So we will do some rounds here with the fans just to kick it off. I think it's Fred's just not holding back, and fair enough. I actually thought we were going to win against the Dockers. I was quietly, even a little bit louder than normal, confident that I thought we were going to turn up. But yeah, it was just a lot of things that didn't work. Here we go. Daryl's with me. It's I saw a few people talking about us playing Freo into form and whatnot. It's there's going to be a few changes.
Yeah, there will be. But interestingly enough, though, Box Hill I think have a bye this week. So do you go really hard and maybe bring a few guys up and give them a chance, or because if you take a few out, usually you might be able to put them at Box Hill, get their confidence up a bit, but you don't obviously have the luxury of doing that this week if Box Hill aren't playing. So do you just go hard and say, look, boys, you've got a week off in Box Hill and pick, 4 or 5 players to come in? I'm not sure.
I think the support network's good. I think they're aware of the encouragement, and you'll hear Reaver talking about that with Tim, just Sam's ability to sort of strip you down and build you up all at the same time and get around you and give you a cuddle and get in your face. So it's it could be more of this, Con. Look, it was hard seeing Maxi Ramsden just in and out. Unfortunate, but we did touch on that last week. I think we might see a little bit of that. And if they've got that support mechanisms in place and getting around each other, you'll hear even Reeves talking about the ruck combo, the way they all get around each other. So, look, we'll see. We will see. Agree, Sean. He has put in more effort. It's been touched on. But, let's see who are the changes for this week when we get to the Melbourne match. But the Freo game, let's just rip the Band-Aid off that one. Let's put that one to bed pretty quickly. But fans, thoughts? Agree on the frustration, Huntsman. I'm not going to dig in too much here.
I agree with Jason there. It is becoming a little bit messy. We do need some continuity. It's just, I'm not sure if he's talking about selection there or literally just actually trying to play consistently. But one thing you do have when you've got a young team is if you're constantly making a whole bunch of changes all the time, it's very hard to get a unit that's going to gel together. I still think players need to be accountable, and if they're playing poorly, then they need to be dropped. And especially if you've got people playing at Box Hill that are, knocking on the door and they're playing well, they obviously deserve to be rewarded with an opportunity. I think I'd be looking at Sam Butler this week if we're talking about, he kicked 4 last week at Box Hill. So him, for me, if you're looking at bringing someone in, and Fred agrees with me there. He's one that I'm looking at, and obviously going to get Bruce and CJ back. They've already sort of hinted at that during the week in the Hawks media.
Yeah, it's a few different aspects. We will get to that. I think absolutely, Kerry. It was sad that we need the leaders showing that restraint, setting the right example. There's clearly a tone. It's a snap instinct type of short amount of time for players to make some calls, and they do need those cool heads around them, having each other's backs as players, as teammates. But we will learn through these hard times, and I'm sure we'll be better for it. Definitely, it's butts again there, but there's Craig, you're not alone. A couple talking about when it gets into that forward line being where things go wrong. I'll jump in. I did have a quick look from this game. We did have a number of players. Here it is. So 5 players giving us more than half of nearly 60% of our inside 50. So coming from 6 with Newcomb and Moore, 5 from Harry Morrison, and 4 from Amon and Warple. It's the disposal efficiency. 2 of those, it was 25 in total there out of 43 inside 50s coming from those 5 players. I think it was only Nuke and Warple that had one that was a direct turnover. So the pressure's going to be on for our forward line. Brucey out of there causes a bit of havoc. Any thoughts to you and to the fans on if there's any quick fixes? Because Brucey, apart from Brucey coming back in, and sadly we've lost Brocky this week as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any quick fixes. We obviously want to see a better performance, especially going forward, where we just seem to lack structure. And then when we got Mitch Lewis back against the Doggies, it was like a brand new forward line in there, and that didn't really translate on the weekend. He adds a massive aerial presence down there, but he can't be the only target. And it's hard when you're just kicking it to him, sort of dumping it on his head. You don't really give him a chance to read the ball, mark it. So I don't think there's a quick fix, because if there was, the coaching staff would be doing it, mate. At the end of the day, we like to think the coaching staff do know better than us. So if there was a quick fix, they'd be doing it. But it doesn't seem to be an issue of even really getting it down there. It's more just once it does go down. That last kick inside 50 is just, I don't have any numbers in front of me about turnovers or whatever, but it just doesn't seem to gel. And it was something that we were actually good at last year. We scored at about 45% of our inside 50s last year, which was ranked in the top half of the competition. And last year it was more of we can get it down there. We can't get it down there a lot, but we're able to score when we do. This year, it almost like it's gone the other way a little bit to my eye, where we're probably getting it down there a little bit more, but we're not scoring. And you see when Sam Mitchell comes out in the post game and says that we really should have either been closer or further in front, that probably speaks to a lot of the issues that we just can't put it on the scoreboard when we've had times in the game where we've actually controlled the play.
Yep. Max makes a fair point there. Just a young team, to your point earlier. But as far as that forward line question, is Cozzy not? If he comes back in, he's and not drawing the number one defender. Is Jason got a point here, Mitch? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is a good point. It's certainly something that he would have struggled with, getting the best defender of the opposition. I don't know if he's done enough since being dropped to get a call straight back, but it might be, we do need a centre half forward there, and he fits the role on paper. So you might want to bring it in and try. I mean, there's not really a lot to lose. You could, but I don't think he's done enough at Box Hill to earn to at least to be kicking the door down.
Yeah, I agree right now. A little bit more form would be nice as far as consistency. Apparently he leads really well, but the Sicily, look, we've got Sicily and Scrimshaw as that experiment, giving us a bit of height. Of those two, Mitch, you got a feel, or have you got a preference out of those two who you'd like to see going and spending a bit more time forward? I think Scrimshaw's toe injury and the ramping up of his time and managing of his time in game is probably, we should see him play full games from here on, I would have thought. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, both really good users of the ball. We do have quite the supply of backmen, but we know Sicily spent some time in the really early stages of his career forward, and he certainly loves a goal. We were talking to him at the player sponsor event that we went to, Matty, and I asked him, do you still love a goal as much as you used to? And he said, absolutely. So, yeah, potentially put either one of those forward. I have just seen a comment from Tom, try Denver forward if we're looking at bringing in Denver. Denver did actually talk to us about that as well a couple of weeks ago, that we may see him forward. So there's another option if you're going to swing three back. I know three forward. Sorry, I know last year we did try Frost at stages as well. I think Frost needs a break, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's potential. Yeah, you could potentially look at swinging one of those forward, but it just would give a different look, wouldn't it?
Can I ask then, is the thoughts, because I think we're slapping it on the boot a bit, and the weights coming in to that inside 50 region isn't the best. So is that competitive, contested mark what we are needing? Is it a lead up? What of those three in Sicily, Scrimshaw, Denver, and even if you got Meek parked down there, you can probably kick it on Meek's head because of the height. But Reeves, you hear in the podcast, he talks about where he prefers to play and what percentage of his time. So might see him up there a little bit. But of the three more mobile ones there that are defenders, how do you see it? What's our best chance of success out of those three?
Well, out of those three, my first instinct is to go to probably the best user of the footy, which would be Sicily or Scrimshaw. I think we need Sicily to stay down back. And Matt, we were talking before we came on that Daz actually gave us a stat that nearly 43% of our of James Sicily's kick-ins result in a inside 50 for Hawthorn. So he's obviously a key player down back in getting it forward for us. So I think maybe we want to keep him down back, and if we are going to try someone forward, it would be Scrimshaw out of the three of those.
Yep. And that was a phenomenal stat from Daz. So hats off to the great man. And then I asked the question, who's next? And it was Hardwick at 10% when he's kicking out.
It was under 10%. Yeah, it was under 10%.
Inside 50. So it's interesting thinking about that as an approach into a shot on goal. But all right, well, we've got a few blasts from the past here. Geez, we've had who we got? Lethal, bring in Hale. We might need a chopper. We might get a Hudson in this week just to go right back. So look, there's some things to fix up there. Look, I was interested in I guess that midfield battle, and when I went scrimmaging looking for a few lights of hope, Connor Nash is leading our team for tackles, so no surprise there, but 42, and the team's total is 472. So Connor's actually got nearly or almost 9% of our entire team's tackles for the season.
Yeah.
And he's
nuts.
a brute, and we love it. But I'm like, it's going to be on like Donkey Kong this week against the D's. That they are, as far as contested ball, we're going to know all about it. So it's going to be fascinating to see what from the mids what we can do to put the pressure on. Because my concern is just that quick kick out. It's all good winning clearances, but it's how well it's coming out. And I know Carl Amon don't have the exact stat here and now, but like as far as the uncontested ball, we're getting a lot into his hands, which is a really good, safe set of hands and foot as a result. But we need probably a bit more help with that contested ball and getting it out and just looking after it when we get that that clearance work done. So
yeah, we have done well in the middle this year, that's for sure. And obviously we've talked about before, we talk about nearly every week that we were ranked 18th last year, and we're up, I think, in the top 8, top 6-ish of clearances. But if they're not resulting in scores and we're turning it over, then as you said, it's not really doing anything else for us. I'd love to see Mitchie back out there, one of my favourite players of all time. But anyway, I think his playing days are gone. Daryl, you mentioned Connor Nash. He's been phenomenal, and the boys, Daz put up a post for Smithy's play ratings during the week, round 8 leaderboard, and Nash was at the top by 3 or 4 stars, I think. So he's really, really come on, because he was much maligned, wasn't he, for a lot of his first few years at Hawthorn. So he's playing really well and did a really good job on Marcus Bontempelli 2 weeks ago. Aside from that second quarter, I think, of Bonds, he beat him for the other 3 quarters. So let's hope he's up for the challenge in Petrarca and Oliver going through the middle there.
Yep, absolutely. We'll just about wrap this up as far as the Freo game, because there's probably not too much more to write about. Weddle, anything else, fans, that you liked? Yes, liking what Weddle's bringing. I can see him retaining his spot. That was a good question, I think, was put to Talking Hawks around the wings and going back to the heyday of Smith and I've gone blank. What's his name? St Kilda, Hilly, and when are we going to see a good running partner with Amon? And look, Harry Morrison is having a good crack, so I think he's going to keep getting some good minutes. But as far as that run and gun, 2-way running speed, really good with the ball, that can deliver it by foot inside 50, or if out of the defensive half and secure it, and then probably gut run, multiple repeat sprints, or the odd. And don't you love it when an Isaac Smith or a wingman is kicking goals? For me, that's quite a joy, because they're usually in full flight and they've got a head of steam up. My thoughts on that would be Seamus Mitchell could be.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've seen some comments just in the last sort of 30 seconds or so bobbing up about Seamus Mitchell. He's looked very, very good, uses the ball awesome, calm under pressure, and it might be a chance to switch him up, because there were some fans online sort of going after Harry Morrison. I think he's done okay opposite Carl Amon, but obviously he does turn the ball over quite a bit. I think he had 7 on the weekend. He can butcher it a little bit by foot, which we don't want from our wingmen, because if they're turning it over, they're probably turning it over in some pretty poor spots.
Yep. Look, I think Harry's done more than enough to keep being given a shot. And to Kerry's point, yes, shame about Wardy. We'll get to that shortly. So hopefully he's back in. Just a question from Richie here. Sammy and his coaching staff were outcoached, and our staff lacked ideas on how to combat them. Sounds alarming thoughts. So my initial thoughts, without a CJ and a Brewston already, you're playing away. You've got a young team that maybe aren't as conditioned to or used to doing that sort of a trip and performing. So not making excuses, but if it's from a coaching perspective, it's about the execution and the communication. And with a young team, for mine, they can be getting 70 or 80% right. And it's that 20 or 30% of the turnover there that can really be the costly thing. And we're just not putting it on the scoreboard. That for mine is the biggest thing. I don't think we'd be having the same, perhaps conversation or question being raised if we were more accurate with our delivery inside 50 and then shots on goal. So even the week prior with, Lewis coming back in, kicking 1 goal 4, we probably we won that game against the Dogs if Mitch, kicked straight, as he's generally done for the last season or two. And, at that time in the game when he's having those shots, if he put those away, I think momentum would have shifted. So is it fully out coaching? I don't think so. Sometimes it's the execution and decisions in game that are contributing as well. So,
yeah, it's a good question. I would go the other way, and I would actually tend to think that it is a little bit alarming. Certainly not too much cause for concern at the moment, but it's not the first time that he said it this year. I think it was the Geelong game where he was looking to Mitch Lewis in the obviously young forward, not. Maybe potentially wants to get into a coaching role going forward, but he's certainly got a lot of playing years, or hopefully a lot of playing years ahead for the Brown and Gold to worry about that. And he was looking to Mitch Lewis and say, is there anything we can do to stop them? So, yeah, I think if that's becoming a trend where they're regularly getting out coached and the coaching staff don't have an answer to at least stem the flow in game, I think it is a concern. But probably haven't seen enough just yet to worry too much about it, but I would be keeping a close eye. I wouldn't like hearing that from him too much more that we're out coached. But
yeah,
you're paid to do that job.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall. I listened to it. I don't believe he did actually use those words, but I might be wrong there. So there is fundamentally here. You're right, Chris. Some basics. Kelly's coming up with the goods again. It's going to be fascinating. Some suggestions to bring some past greats in to mentor, a la Hodge, Lakey, and
I want to agree with Hodgie, but Cody's got a good point there as well. They are just being honest, and they're all relatively young themselves, and they are learning as they go. So that is a good point as well. When we talk about the rebuild, it's not just necessarily on field; it's also in the coaching department as well. Obviously, putting Sam Mitchell in his first year. So there is a bit of a learning curve as you go. And I think there's enough positives to be excited about, but obviously the week-to-week stuff, it can get a little bit hard to swallow as fans because we're so used to success at this great footy club.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Well, it's let's change gears then. So one thing I did speak to Clinton Young today. He's let us know. So those that are involved in the player sponsorship with Talking Hawks of Denver Jai and Jazz Fleming this season, the round 13 clash against Carlton, there will be 2 tickets available to one of the contributors in the Talking Hawks player sponsorship group. I'm going to put the link in the chat here just now. So if you're interested, details are there. So that one's a bit special. If you drop a little bit more, you are in with a good chance there. So it's we've reached 2,350. We've got a way to go. So we're over a third of the way there this season. Get around it, everyone. And it's a lovely way to get to know the players. We're going to also tee up some closed Zoom calls with Denver and Jai. So you get a chance to ask them. And they're really just as humans, good people in being able to talk to them and ask them some really honest questions that maybe you don't get in the public forum. So if you're interested, jump on board. But yeah, a few experiences coming up with the Hawks through Talking Hawks, and we'd love to have you as part of it. We're going to get to a Box Hill lunch again soon, Mitchie. So if you're interested, get around Box Hill. You had a look at Box Hill just before we move on to the D's match, but we'll do Box Hill and then we'll touch on some injuries and likely ins and outs.
Yeah, so standouts from the VFL player review that goes out every week was Cam McKenzie, 30 disposals, 1 goal, 8 tackles, 6 marks, 3 clearances. So he's been dropped and straight away put his hand up for selection again. So really good to see, because I thought he was a little bit unlucky to be dropped. Ramsden, 22 disposals, 5 marks, 35 hitouts. Don't know if he gets a game this week. He's obviously still a bit green, doing really well at Box Hill, but with the ruck challenge of Gawn and Grundy, I would be going with the 2 that we've got on the park at the moment in Meek and Reeves. Sammy Butler, we quickly mentioned him before, and there's been a lot of comments about him. I think he will be very, very stiff not to get a recall this week. 4 goals, 17 disposals, and 6 marks. We know Brockman is out anyway because he's suspended. So that would seemingly, if we're going like for like, that would seemingly Butler would probably slot straight in my eyes, but we'll have to wait and see. Cozzy, 1 goal, 15 disposals, 4 marks, 11 hit out, so a little bit of time in the ruck. And DJB, so Denver, 15 disposals and 8 marks. So Denver's, certainly pushing, knocking on the door, to potentially get a recall. Not sure if it'll be this week. I think it will depend on if Van Rooyen plays, which I think that's going on at the moment. The appeal, it's probably not looking likely that he's going to play. So he may not play, but if we need another tall back there, he's potentially another option. And Cody, I agree. Butler is a guarantee. I like I said, if he doesn't come in this week, I think he's very, very unlucky. He's had a good couple of games at Box Hill and deserves another chance.
Yeah, I think the hard words, to perform, it's on the players. There is that pressure for positions. It's good seeing some of them put their hand up. And I know Denver had quite a week, the week prior. So, to put his hand up, and I think Zane Littlejohn, or the write-up was that, he was quite assertive, which for mine shows that he's in a good space and really putting his hand up. So wouldn't surprise me if Denver gets a look in. And what have we got? Sorry, there's been lots of comments rolling through here.
Bruce will be back in as well. That's a good point. I don't know of the comments.
Absolutely. I think
Bruce will be straight back in as well.
Yeah, I would say so, 100%. And I caught it a couple of weeks ago, arresting a potentially Bruce Wingard. Wouldn't surprise me if we see Wingard drop for a week as well, just at some point in the not too distant future, just to give some of these others a chance. And with Brocky out, it could be the week. If Bruce back in, you've got that leadership there.
Just doesn't look quite as interested at the moment, does he, Chad? Like he's usually pretty good, around the ball and whatnot, but he just doesn't look. I think doesn't look interested at the moment. So giving young fellas a crack is probably a good option, and maybe just give him a little nudge along to get going.
I think the week before the first half, he was really on, and I thought he was showing a lot of endeavour in his attack, and he was a lot cleaner and taking marks and whatnot. So I thought, well, here we go. Tail was up, but look, we got punished a bit last week. So let's see. It's all right. We'll go on to injuries then. So Jekka sadly did his hammy. Did you see? Sorry, Jack, but on the back of that hammy, and he's sort of come a cropper. Bennett's just swooped on that in the VFL. Smothered a ball. Oh, mate, highlights everyone. I'll try and find it, and we'll include it in the notes. And yes, I will also include the player sponsor link in the notes as well for those that ask. The ability to swoop on it so quickly, Josh Bennett, very exciting. Turns from the boundary, snap, goal. It's got to be one of the goals of the year at Box Hill so far. So to see that at that level, it was cat-like. It was very, very smooth. A good cat, not the Geelong variety. So
nice.
Morey, maybe Kerry. It's I think he's going to keep being a Trojan. I think he's going to continue, and I don't think they'll give him a spell. I wonder if we change more up position-wise a little bit. Just still trying to work out myself what they may be doing with Morey. I'd give him more of a run through the middle, but they're clearly trying to galvanise that sort of core four.
It's pretty hard to get
across the game.
He does seem a little bit down on confidence. I wouldn't be looking at taking him out though. I think if he is tired, get him to the bye and give him a rest. He's certainly in our best 22 and quite comfortable to say that at the moment. So he has looked down. It hasn't had quite the year that he did last year, but I wouldn't be looking at moving him just yet.
Yeah. Here we go. There we go. Mackenzie potentially in. Yeah, don't mind it.
So the guaranteed outs, we've got a Ward and Brockman. So Bruce and CJ, I think, are pretty much confirmed for coming in. So we need at least another out there.
Sarong potentially expected to return round 10. So that's promising sign where we see Jai come in, I'd say would definitely be through the Box Hill team. But running back into form, I know he's kept his fitness up and whatnot, and involved in some full training sessions just recently. So that's really positive. All right, let me just jump into here. A couple more questions. Yeah, a few comments around Wingard and attitude or body language. It does.
I think if we're looking at potentially someone that might come out this week, I think he could be one of them. I don't want to go too hard at Chad, but I think he might be one of them this week.
Look, it's different things go through. Yeah, we all see it a little bit differently. So, all right, Dees, let me just jump in here. What I did, I was interested to see. Yeah, I'm thinking, no surprise, probably going to get touched up this week. My thoughts were, where do we try to what are we looking for out of this? So it's definitely the tackles, the aptitude there around the middle, but the challenges will be Melbourne's second most points, for trailing Geelong in the league. They're fourth for points against trailing St Kilda, Collingwood, and the Doggies. So if our contested possessions aren't up there, sadly, Melbourne is 148, which is right up there as well, and the Hawks are 135. So the real touch-up, I hope the pride has been dinted by a lot of the players, and they really come out with that rev up, and you'll hear what Reva said was the message from the coaches to the team and the focus this week, if you check out the pod. The challenges this week for mine, it's not just getting the clearances, it's what we do with it. So the Ds are going to punish us if it's just a quick kick into our forward 50 in that direction. We actually have to control it. So for mine, I would like to see more control. It's like I'm not expecting that we go to a bygone era where it was just a well-oiled machine. But I think we can get the hand on the ball, we can win some hard ball, we can get the clearance, but it's what we do then. So I'm not just interested in meters gain. I want a little bit of control and potentially some setup. At least then we can try to improve the inside 50s. And for mine, if we do that against the Ds, who are a very good defensive unit, and probably going to generate a lot of inside 50 from their back half, their rebound, that's where I would like to see more improvement this whole game. So that's my biggie going into this emergency services round.
Yeah, it's a good point because they are ranked first in the league for inside 50s. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for the back six. And then us going forward, look, we can't just bomb it long and hope because, blokes like May and Lever and the boys down there are going to thrive off that. They're just going to intercept, peel off, take the intercept mark, and then bang, they're going forward. So it is a really good point. Lower your eyes. Don't just dump it in long. Yes, if we can at least halve the clearance battle, not necessarily win it, but if we can be effective going forward, I wouldn't think we're going to have an upset this week, but you never know. That's going to go a long way.
The centre clearances average for the season, it's 10.5 to 12 in Melbourne's favour, and then stoppage clearances, it's 26 to nearly 22. So they're going to have it slightly over us there in terms of total clearances by about 5 across the season's average for both teams. But it's the application. It's that, that whether it's a slight structural thing at times, it's voice, it's a whole lot of things. But you're going to have it in a really hot, in-close environment. So it's not an easy task, what I'm asking, but that's what I want to try and see out of the boys this week. It's what I'm looking for. The disposal efficiency will come with time. It's frustrating at times, but it's going to come. So, all right, the fans have got some good things here. Kelly's just happy for a stemming of the flow. 8-goal loss, anything less than is positive. I like this, Fred. Just it's some fundamentals, isn't it? Just manning up and hitting some targets.
Basics. A lot of the time that can help. Just go back to basics, like you said, man up. Con, you're right. We only learn if we play to win. I think we're, when we're in the games, of course, we're trying to win. I don't think we're deliberately trying to lose, as some journalists might suggest. But I'm not going to go down that. I'm not going to open that can of worms. yeah, it's just, I think if we can see a sustained effort and just that we're at least showing small signs of improvement each week, I think most people can swallow the results for now. I know it's annoying, but it is easy to get caught on the negatives. We have been in games for large periods of time against some quality opposition. Obviously, Geelong, we got pantsed in the last half, but we were comprehensively winning that first half, not able to put it on the scoreboard. But I think as fans, we do tend to drift towards the negatives. We need to keep in mind it's a young team, and we have shown glimpses of some pretty good footy. It's just the gap between our good and our bad at the moment is absolutely far too big, and we're taken out of the game far too easily. So show a bit of fight, show a bit of discipline like the fans are saying. I think really that's all we can do Melbourne are ranked second on the ladder, one of the premiership favourites.
Yep.
I don't think anyone's expecting a win, but you never know. Gold Coast went within a kick with them last week, and you never know.
We'll see some predictions shortly, but yeah, I tend to agree here, Cody. I think Mitch is going to go well, and it could very well be this week. I don't know the answer to this, Austin. Does anybody know, or Mitch, do you? If Blanky got injured,
I don't. So I haven't seen anything, and generally they're pretty good at releasing when injuries happen, unless it was a really innocuous sort of knock. I'm not sure. Haven't seen anything.
It was not in the Hawthorn Nissan injury update. So
it wasn't in the review either for Box Hill.
Yeah. So look, it's definitely some calls for some change, personnel, all good. It's likely coming. We do need some answers for Oliver, Petrarca. Surely you've got Nash doing some jobs on those two. They're definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the midfield you can probably back most of us to sort of go with it. Our midfield's gone against, the Doggies. I think they're ranked they were ranked number one in the clearance battle. We went toe to toe with them. I'm not too worried about it through the middle of the ground. It's what we do with it going forward. And then obviously we know we're going to have to defend well because Melbourne, as you mentioned, I think they're ranked second in points per game and first in inside 50. So we know it's going to go down there. We're not going to stop that. It's about how we can deal with it when it's back there, and then hopefully transition and get a little bit of a look going through centre, and then giving our forwards a bit better look.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they try to match up and what they do around the ground. It's not bad from you, Brett, right here. Wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of that. He's clearly worked on his attack. I'm trying to be that in bull, but we love Jai around here. We'll see if he gets that defensive side as well in this match, even just for periods. I think if anyone comes within cooey of him, he has a red hot crack. At times, I reckon he's going that hard. He's running on fumes before he gets a few more breaths into him and goes again. So sometimes I'm like, come on, Duke, he's close, get him. I just want to see him crunch someone, but not quite. Look, it's we're going to wrap this up really shortly. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, please do. A lot of you that watch have not. I would love the conversation to continue there. We keep an eye out on Twitter, on Facebook as well, on Insta. Jump in. Always love this man's thoughts and questions. What have you got here for us, Mr. Everett?
Betting down a solid defensive six. I do agree.
All right. Can I add then, is CJ part of that best defensive six?
No.
Okay.
No
elaboration. That's fine. Is CJ on a flank or if he's not in that best defensive six, is he on a wing or is he on a forward flank at times? Where is he?
I have seen a few comments today to try him on a wing. I think he's definitely got the pace. We know he's the athlete to put on a wing. Does he use the ball well enough? I don't know, but maybe on a wing he might have at least a little bit more time because he gets the ball in the defensive 50 and then it's just like go, and he either gets pinged for holding the ball. He's been pinged running too far a few times. It's worth a shot. Let's try him on a wing. He's definitely the athlete. I just don't know if he uses the ball well enough.
Yeah, and I think it will depend on the space. And if he's trying to really in traffic use the speed, can be quite different to if you're on the wing and you've got the expanses of the G dimension, oval dimensions to work with. So it depends on where they have to run. I wouldn't mind seeing that experiment play out a little bit through the rest of the season with Harry Morrison perhaps coming. I'm not budging Amon at all. He's staying fair and square.
Amon stays on the wing for sure.
That foot, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, his uncontested possessions was something like 40 more than any other player in our team. So clearly we look into him. Look, maybe there's some work there for the coaches, CJ, to have a look at. Mate, let's look at the wrap up. It's all right. Give me your predictions.
I was going to say quick prediction. I'm going to say Melbourne by 35, and I'll be pretty happy if we get closer than that.
Have you got anyone in terms of goals or posies? Anything else to add to that, mate?
Yeah, Mitch Lewis to kick 5. And we'll probably still get beat.
I would happily see the big fella kicking himself into form with 5. Let's do the rounds here, see what other good predictions we've got. Andrew, I don't know, and I think we should have. I think it was probably less than the other tackle that I thought was going to go.
Yes.
And us get penalised, but we won't go into it now.
Hawks by 1 point, and Brett, Melbourne by 73. I hope it's not that much, but probably will be. Sean, Melbourne by 10 goals. 10 goals seems to be about the prediction. Chris, I don't know if Van Rooyen's going to play because we know he's contesting the 2-match ban that he got at the tribunal. I think it's probably unlikely that he plays, but Sicily, I like that.
There's the back 6 of a man whose opinion I definitely rate. So don't mind it. Yeah, it's between a small Hawthorn win and an absolute flogging. So there you go. Let's hope it's not upwards of 50, but I'm going to go. Brewster's going to kick 3. He's going to come back with a plump, and we will go down. It's going to be by 42 this week, sadly. So I hope I'm wrong. I'll be making a lot of noise. And look, I am.
As will I, mate. As will I by 4:30 on Saturday. Tune in, guys. Thanks for watching tonight. And if you're watching after this is over, thank you. Check out the Ned Reeves podcast tomorrow, I think you said, Matty.
Absolutely. And then, yep.
And keep an eye on our socials. Daz put out a good article today as well. Go check that if you haven't already.
A few thoughts on who we should perhaps target. Mid-season draft coming up. Daz will be in his element. He'll be that pig in mud, absolutely sharing some gems. So keep an eye out. And, we'll always have the opposition analysis pod coming out as well. So thanks for joining us, fans. Mitch, thank you.
Thank you.
We need to be doing this more often, but fans, have a great week. We will catch you next Wednesday until we see you again. Go Hawks.